A very warm welcome to today's episode of Tax Matters and a much warmer welcome from the long Eid Fitri holiday. We are sure that long holiday afforded you the opportunity to touch base with your kit and kin in your village. Last episode on Tax Matters, we brought you the first part of the sensitization workshop that was organized by the Individual and Enterprises Income Tax Department of the Federal Revenue Service on the roles and duties, the roles and responsibilities of ministries, departments and agencies under the amended Personal Income Tax Act. It was held on Thursday, the 2nd of August, 2012. In that first installment, we shared with you excerpts from the paper presented by Mr. P.A. Olayemi, the director of that department. We want to move on today to the second paper, which was on the benefits of prompt filing of tax returns and remittance of taxes due. It was presented by Mr. A.I. Aliyara, a deputy director at the FIRS.
So in most countries world over, tax is their major source of income. But in Nigeria, we see in spite of the oil and the type of luxury lives we are staying on, the contribution of non-oil tax to the gross domestic product is very low. And the level of compliance is very, very low. You see the level of consumptions, you see luxury houses everywhere in Abuja, where you hardly see tax. When you look at their tax profile, you'll be surprised. The bill for this Peter Amendment took 7 years and passed through 3 presidents and 4 national assemblies and ministers. The signing was a landmark achievement in the history of taxation in Nigeria. The tax administration, that is self-assessment regulations 2011, was also gazetted.
With that brief opening, Mr. Aliyara launched into the roles of ministries, departments and agencies in the administration of personal income tax.
When we are remitting tax, we say, okay, as an MDA, you don't just go and commence the deduction. You must follow the due process. And the first process is the registration. As an MDA, you must register and get your taxpayer identification number. Your employees must also register and get their own tax identification numbers. And all these processes are free. All the forms you fill are free. We are here to serve you. For employers of labor, they are expected to register for payee scheme and withholding tax. So it's not only you say, okay, I've registered them for payee. You must also register for withholding tax deduction. Normally, when you register, by the time you, just as the former presenter said, you should have a schedule, which means before you engage any consultant, any contractor, you must be able to demand that contractor's tax identification number. That is the only indication that that man is registered. And once you obtain it, you come to any of our offices, they can quickly key it in to confirm if that tax identification number is genuine. Once we key it in, we see the taxpayer, and we can even see his profile. When you go to make your withholding tax remittance, there are 2 schedules. First one is for you. That is why you receive your treasury receipt. That is revenue collector's receipt, showing that you are a compliant taxpayer. Then the second schedule is for the taxpayer, on which you put the taxpayer tax identification number. And once that is uploaded into the system, our system will automatically capture that that taxpayer has transacted this social amount and this amount has been deducted as withholding tax, which he will, by the time he files his returns, he will receive the credit. As I said, withholding tax is an advance payment. So we know that this taxpayer has already paid certain amount on account of the transaction he made. So every contractor transacting business with any government agencies shall produce evidence of registration with FIRS and produce the tax identification number as a condition for obtaining contract. That is the law. You don't just give any contractor or any individual. You must demand for the evidence that he has registered with the relevant tax authority, and he must produce his tax identification number to you. When you fail to do that, as the director said, penalty is 5 million naira. In fact, if you can even access our web portal, you can register yourself and send it, but our officers will have to edit it and confirm that everything is before they give you the tax identification number. Now, what is returns? When you collect the tax, either withholding tax or pay as you earn, whatever it is, it's not just going and pay to the bank and you come and sleep. I've done my work. No, you have not done anything. When you engage a new employee, you refuse to tell the FRS that I have a new employee, he needs a tax identification number, you have not done your work. Section 24F of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, which deals with the responsibilities and duties of a good citizen of Nigeria, categorically states that it shall be the duty of every citizen to declare his income honestly to the appropriate and lawful agencies and pay his tax promptly. So you can see it's a constitutional requirement, not FRS. Declare your income. Why you declare your income, and that income is the bracket that will be negative. Then the FRS Act now said, okay, that individual should pay the minimum tax, which is just 1% of your income. Failure to file returns is separate from payments of tax. So as an MDA, for just remitting your tax and you go and say, I've remitted my tax, you have not completed the process. You must render the returns. Under the company's income tax, the Act provided that every company, including a company granted exemption for incorporation, shall file self-assessment. So what we are operating in FRS now is a self-assessment regime. That is, every individual or taxpayer shall file, compute, declare honestly, and then say, this is what my incomes are, and this is what is due to me to pay as a tax. It's no more our duty to go and say, okay, this is what your incomes are. That is when we raise the BOJ. This time around, there is no base of judgment assessment. When you fail to comply, in the course of discussion, we'll see how we are going to enforce. Under the personal income tax, the returns required, every employer of labor is required to file returns with the relevant tax authority of all emoluments. It's not saying salaries alone. All emoluments paid to its employees. If you pay bonuses over time, whatever form you call it, depending on the organization, if it's private or corporate or government, all emoluments in whatever form, in whatever name you call it, other than the exemptions given to you, that is 200,000 plus 20%, and other 4 items, that is if you have loan for a mortgage or whatever, you must declare to the FRS, not later than the 31st of January every year, in respect of all your employees, so that we'll be able to compare and compute and see what you have deducted, so that by the time your staff should come for TCC, it will be easier. They will not say, okay, what we have done is correct. It will be, that's why the delay comes in. I show you, if you come to my office, if what you've paid is correct, within 24 hours. In fact, there are some even within the same day they get their TCC and go, if the payment is correct. So FRS is not FRS of yesteryears. I think we are changing. But you have to do the right thing to ensure that your your employees get their relevant. And I also want to call you that the employees are also required to file in their own returns is not only that of the employer. So all employees must also file their self-assessment returns. That's why they are also given their taxpayers' identification numbers. So they have 3 months, that is 90 days, within which to file their own returns.
Now, sorry, madam. I don't say for my name.
I don't check in no day. After all my wahala, these people still no register me.
Haba, I put on 14.
Tingini. Wetin concern tin tomato for inside this matter wey we dey talk now?
Eva, explain for am 14.
Madam, taxpayers' identification number, TIN, a special number for all correct taxpayers. It dey compulsory if you want register and do business with government. Without TIN, you no go fit do business.
Abeg, na how much I go pay to collect this thing?
Madam, I get am 14 free.
Madam, take your certificate of incorporation to FIRS office, fill the form, and you go get am one time.
Just like that? Abeg, make I go collect my own thing.
TIN na free o, na for everybody, na your correct identity. FIRS, it pays to pay your tax.
The tax identification number we issue is for all tax type. Once a contractor presents that this is my tax identification number, it means he has registered for all the relevant taxes. So we don't give VAT certificates separately other than the tax identification number. Due dates of filing of returns. So when we say file return, it doesn't mean you just file at will or anytime you desire. The filing of the returns is also regulated. It has due dates. So for companies, they have 6 months from the end of their accounting date. Within these 6 months, they file in their returns. But when they are commencing, the law says 18 months from incorporation or 6 months from commencement, whichever comes earlier. Withholding tax is payable 21st day of the month following the transaction. So once you transacted and you pay a taxpayer in the month of January, then you have up to the 21st of the next month to remit. So it's not, once you breach that, you are contravening the law. A lot of MDs will just be piling the money until December, or maybe 6 months, they will now come and remit. Once you do that, you'll be sanctioned. You are not following the due dates as provided by the law. So the remittances of taxes is now regulated under the self-assessment regulation. So the established self-assessment regime requires concurrent filings of returns and payment of tax due on or before the due date. That is, if you are operating a company, so before you file in your returns, you must make sure you also remit and pay the tax. Under the personal income tax, pay is payable on or before the 10th of the following month. So you don't just wait and say you do 3 months or 4 months returns together. It's wrong. The law requires at the end of the month, before the 10th of the next month, you must remit your pay. Personal income, that's a PITA, is payable on or before the 30th of the month. So you have, since it's payable on preceding year basis, you have 19 days within which to file your personal income tax. That's what we call the direct assessment. Then withholding tax is also payable on or before the 21st day of the month of deduction, following the month of deduction. That is the same thing. Once you deduct for January, so you have up to the 21st, on or before the 21st of February, to remit the withholding tax. So you don't just deduct and keep, so that when you are Oga now come and say, how much do we have in our account? We have 100 million. You are not award another contract, not minding that maybe 50% of it is in respect of taxes deducted. That is when we come to now, you say, we have deducted, but we don't have money. What have you done with the money?
The Federal Inland Revenue Service introduces the tax card to make all tax payment easy for you. Just follow these 7 easy steps. Obtain your taxpayer identification number, TIN, for free at any FIRS office. Get your tax card from your bank. Log on to www.firsonline.com, then register to obtain a password and access the payment process pages. Fill your TIN number, tax type you're paying, amount payable, and period of payment. Confirm the entries on your transaction. Then print your e-ticket and present at any FIRS office as an evidence of tax paid. It's that simple. For more information, visit www.firs.gov.ng or any FIRS office close to you. FIRS, it pays to pay your tax.
You may be asking, what are the benefits of prompt filing of tax returns?
What are the benefits of filing of these returns? It will make it easier for you to obtain tax clearance certificate, which will enable you to transact your businesses legitimately. When you also comply, you avoid enforcement visits by our tax officials. Once they know this MDA is filing, nobody will say, they say, look, leave it aside, you don't need to go. So when you say you are like the madam that is saying our officers are coming, why coming to you alone? There must be a trigger. So if you are seeing our officers constantly, it means there is a problem with your remittances. You avoid payment of interest and penalties, and then it enables you to assess yourself. That is a self-assessment.
Time will not permit us today to dwell at length on the benefits of prompt filing of tax returns. The story continues next episode with the vibrant interactive session that followed the paper presentations. You see, this workshop is just one of the various ways in which the Federal Inland Revenue Service strives to enlighten and educate stakeholders, arming them with knowledge that will make life easier for all. But there's even something bigger coming, and that is ITAS, Integrated Tax Administration System, under which the taxpayer will be empowered, will be enabled to file tax returns and make payments from the confines of his or her living room or the office. To expose the implementation plan to stakeholders, 2 workshops were held in Lagos and Abuja in August. Correspondent Christina Pius covered the Lagos workshop and reports.
The workshop was essentially held to validate what is called future state design processes with internal and external stakeholders. It was held in Lagos on Monday, August 13th, with a similar exercise carried out in Abuja on Thursday, August 16th. Alhaji Abdullahi Atta is the Coordinating Director, Modernization Group at the FIRS.
Once again, welcome you to this forum. It is all about a workshop that we think we should hold principally with our partners. It is about making taxation very easy so that nobody rips you off, so that you know you are right. We have a duty to make it possible for you, to make it easy for you to pay a tax from the comfort of your houses or from your palm tops. And that's what FIRS is trying to do. Before 2004, it's a Herculean tax. When you pay a tax, you don't know where it is gone. But I think our first attempt at modernization, where we computerize payment, and everybody here will bear witness that you can now go to the bank and pay without the fear that your money could get lost or your checks will be diverted. We're trying to build on that strength, and therefore there is a Gangot-1 modernization projects going on in FIRS, and the key thing of all of the modernization projects that we're trying to do is ITAS, which is going to comprehensively modernize our tax system processes. You had the payment angle that we're holding before, but this time all of the tax processes are going to be re-engineered such that you will find it very easy to comply with the tax system.
Thereafter, various members of the project team took turns to present progress reports on the project. Tax Matters asked the ITAS project leader, Dr. Audu Amos, what the workshop was all about.
Exposing our future state design of the 10 identified processes to our stakeholders, both internal and external. We're validating these processes with these stakeholders so that we can get their input and at least share with them what we're doing in order to improve the processes that have been identified for automation. It has afforded us the opportunity to hear from both sides, our internal staff and from external side, in order to determine the actual requirements that we need to customize the solution to fit FIRS requirements. Leading from this will be the definition of the functional spec and the functional specifications and the customization of the solution. We are presently defining the high-level requirements of the solution.
Now, how is the TIN related to this ITAS project?
Well, TIN is related to ITAS in the area of registration. You know, it has been accepted. The TIN, which is co-hosted by the Joint Tax Board and the various state boards of internal revenue, have agreed to have a central point of registering taxpayers, where we can have common visibility, and the same solution is being run from ITAS. ITAS is taking the other modules of the TIN solution that JTB is using, and then we will no more be registering directly from ITAS. We'll be registering from TIN with a direction, a link to our own taxpayers in ITAS.
And from Aliyara, in a few words, where is all this taking us to? What is in sight?
Well, I think the single most important thing that we want to achieve is, like all other developed tax administration in the world, that we get to a point where we make it very easy for our taxpayers to pay their taxes, and in that process enhance the tax collection in the country. We understand, we know that there's a lot of tax gap, that is to say, there's a lot of tax to be collected, but because the systems is difficult and not transparent, we are unable to achieve that. We want to get to a situation where every information about the taxpayer is on the system, is available to us. We're linked to the banks, we're linked to all the agencies, corporate affairs commissions, to the customs database, to all organization database, the EFCC through NFIU database, such that every transaction that is happening in this country is captured on our system and is online real time. And therefore, we will allow you to do what we, in the regime of self-assessment, you will assess yourself. But when you assess yourself, we have a third-party information ready to verify and confirm that. And where you fail, we take measures.
Okay, sir. Why is TIN related to this project? What's the relationship between TIN and ITAS project?
Well, TIN is like a unique number. In every system, if you go to bank today, you have a number. And it is that key number that you put on a computer that you identify, because number is able to identify a person. So the TIN is just an identifier. Okay. It is a number that you use so that once you can identify a taxpayer by number 1, 2, 3, 4, so you keep 1, 2, 3, 4 on a computer, every detail about him comes up. That's all about it. And we are collaborating, all the 36 states and the federal government came together to do this TIN. It was UTIM, but it's now called TIN, such that every taxpayer in the country is identified. You cannot register twice. Because it's an individual, you'll be registering with your 10 fingerprints, so it's uniquely identifying you. And as a corporate entity, because we're linked with Corporate Affairs Commission, as soon as you register a company, a TIN number is generally generated for you. Therefore, it's your unique identifier. So the TIN model of Joint Tax Board is what we are all going to use. It's a central database.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Christina.
Thank you very much.
That indeed will be the day. That day when the taxpayer can sit within the confines of his or her office or home and file tax returns and make payments. Kudos to the FIRS. It's time for us to go, but I want to remind you that you can watch this episode again and indeed any past episode of Tax Matters by visiting our YouTube channel on your mobile device or on the web. If you have contributions to make, if you have questions to ask, like our Facebook page or follow us on Twitter. Of course, we remain available via email and by voice telephone. We want you to have a very good week ahead. From Christina.
Thank you for watching. See you next week.
Bye for now.